talk today was really about three things when I summarise it. It was a story that was about the empowerment of patients to be able to bring the true value of their life experience of data into the settings of clinical research and to be able to really power better outcomes as a result. It was a story about the acceleration of science and clinical innovation through unified data and processes and the ability for these platforms to really drive forward the advancements of the application of AI and machine learning at scale to really make a difference. And it was actually about the repayment of the trust and the sacrifice that patients make. It was really about trying to create this virtuous cycle whereby you concentrate on the quality of the data and you concentrate on the value of the data way beyond just the actual submission of the study itself, but in a way whereby you can leverage that data downstream to feed back into future studies, to improve the experiences of patients way beyond the initial study itself. I think it's been fantastic actually to have the chance for the last couple of days to reflect and listen to the opinions of peers and to share ideas and have these discussions. I'm seeing a real appetite for people to rethink not just their relationships with patients and sites themselves, but also to rethink their relationship with technology and how they can use this to really drive forward the boundaries of what we can achieve today. I think there are a lot of themes around the human in the loop, which I really love as a term. I've heard that a lot over the last couple of days, and how we ensure that we don't just have a patient-centric way of viewing things, but we have a human-centric way of viewing how we advance clinical research, and especially within the lens of what's happening within AI and all the various disciplines within. I think it's reassuring to understand the importance that human oversight will continue to have, and this idea of AI being much more of a virtual assistant or a co-pilot to what we do, as opposed to actually coming in and taking away control from that aspect. And I think the third element is actually around a mindset change, right? It's a real mindset change away from what we've traditionally seen as quite cyclical or batch-orientated ways of clinical trials being run and processed, when the checks are happening, when we're monitoring, when we're looking at reconciliation and bringing things together, into a much more continuous or streaming mindset, which is really bringing much more agility, and it's helping us to deal with some of the challenges that we're facing today in terms of the velocity of data, the volume of data, and the variety of data that we're dealing with. And I think there's a real move towards driving not just from a reactive to a proactive mindset, but into a mindset of much more preventative measures and how we can leverage some of the technology that's available to enable that to happen. Three things that I'll take away to summarize. The opportunity really exists today for data and technology to be great enablers of change and to really help us to drive forward the acceleration of clinical trials and to ensure that we can maintain the quality and safety for patients throughout. But I think there is quite a humbling message as well around needing to stay 1 foot in today and 1 foot in tomorrow. So there's a lot of things today that we still need to actually deal with, and we still need to overcome to ensure that we can continue to be successful, particularly when you look at what is happening at a site level, or indeed what's required from a patient burden perspective. So this idea of a 1 foot in today and 1 foot in tomorrow is a big takeaway for me. Specific within the UK environment, something I've really heard loud and clear in this conference is around the need to reinvigorate our standing around clinical trials in the UK, particularly from a commercial perspective. So I think we have a really strong academic interest and effort still around clinical trials, but commercially I think we've taken a bit of a step backwards in the last few years. So there's a real drive actually, and I think it's come across loud and clear that we want to reinvigorate our view as a hub within Europe for commercial clinical trials, and also that we need to start thinking about the talent pool around that as well, and how we ensure that we have sites that are ready to actually support that research, and we have the people within the sites to actually go and conduct it. And I think the third element around this is this idea of the role of AI, right? You can't go to any conference without talking about AI. What I've really taken away though is the fact that in itself, it's actually been a little bit of a return to the drawing board in some cases, because there's been a realization that the promise of AI itself, without the foundation of good quality data and the level of expansive data that's required to train the AI and to make the AI successful, actually is no good on its own. So it's this view of AI is fantastic, but a lot of the change happening today is more around the operating model, it's more around long-term data strategy, it's more around the way in which we're going to enable AI to provide its value rather than just the AI itself. Yeah, it's been a real pleasure actually to be here. So I was lucky enough to come along to the event in Europe about a month ago out in Barcelona, and to see the focus in the UK setting has been great. So actually I think the quality of some of the speakers, particularly with the current situation within the UK and the general election that's now been called, I think it was great to be able to get some of the views and to have some of the people that are involved in that process along to speak. So particularly to talk about the focus within the UK and what's required to try and ignite our position as a hub within Europe. I found that to be really encouraging actually. It's quite motivating, quite inspiring to hear about the passion that sits behind that and the thought and the long-term view that's required to go about rebuilding it. And you know what, it's been great again just to network with so many peers, so many like-minded colleagues, to get to share so many thoughts about what's important today and what's important for us to think about for the future of clinical trials for tomorrow. So it's been a great event, and I look forward to coming back next year.